Hi everyone, my name is Kelsey. I'm one of the oncology dietitians at Pro Healthcare, which means I work specifically with cancer. Today I'm going to do a lightened up version of a traditional stuffed baked potato. So in the traditional version, usually you're going to have your bacon bits, you're going to have cheese, sour cream, and butter toppings. So this one we're going to swap that out for a lot of plant-based options. So I'm going to do a sweet potato, and then the topping is going to be black beans, roasted red pepper, roasted corn, and then we're going to do some fresh toppings on as well. It's going to be cilantro, green onion, and avocado. So what I like about this recipe is that you're cutting out a lot of that saturated fat, and you're adding a lot of fiber, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, which are those cancer-fighting compounds in the plant foods. And you're not compromising on flavor or satisfaction because it's really flavorful with a lot of different spices, and it is really filling. One thing that I like is making dishes that are plant-based that aren't just salads. I have a lot of patients tell me, I can't eat salads all the time, especially in winter. And this recipe is really hearty and really filling again. So it's something that would be really nice on a cold Wisconsin night. So the ingredients for this recipe are 2 sweet potatoes, and you can absolutely use white potatoes at home. I just really like that sweet and savory flavor combination, so that's why I'm using the sweet potatoes today. So medium to large would be a good size. And then we're gonna do some red pepper chopped, some frozen corn, and then for the fresh ingredients, and also red onion. Again, you can also use a white onion, doesn't really matter. The red onion will give a little bit more of a kick. And then for the fresh toppings, we're gonna do green onion, avocado, cilantro, and we're gonna do a couple different spices. So the garlic powder, cumin, and chili powder are gonna give this a lot of flavor. And then just a little salt to taste. And of course, as well, we're gonna do black beans, canned. You can drain and rinse them. And I usually try to look for the lower sodium options on the black beans just so I can control the amount of salt in the recipe. You can use all of these. You can use some of them depending on what you have in the kitchen. The reason I added all of these different ingredients today is because it really gives you a lot of different colors of the rainbow. So you'll see we've got the orange potatoes, we've got red pepper, we've got yellow corn, we've got green toppings. So we're really hitting on a lot of different colors. And the reason for that is because oftentimes with those phytochemicals, those cancer-fighting compounds, those colors are associated with the different compounds in the food. So the more colors you're getting, the more benefits you're getting. So that's why we say eat the rainbow. But again, if you don't have all of these around in your house, it's still going to turn out great. A lot of times I just make it with the potatoes and the beans and onions, and it's still really, really tasty. So the first thing I usually do in this recipe is I get the oven going so that the potato can go in, because that's really your time limiting step here. It takes about 45 minutes for that potato to bake. You want it to bake until it's about fork tender. And you can bake that longer too if you like it a little bit more mushy, but I like mine to still have a little bit of a bite, so about 45 minutes is that sweet spot. You can also do this in the microwave. If you have a method you like at home for baking your potatoes in the microwave, that's fine too. And it might actually speed up this recipe a little bit because the rest of it really doesn't take too long. So first thing I do is get that potato in the oven. And you're just gonna need a lightly greased cookie sheet or baking sheet. And then I'm just gonna pierce the potatoes. Ooh, these are pretty hard. In a couple different spots here, just so that steam can release from the potato as it's cooking. Really testing my strength today. All right, then I'm just gonna throw these on the pan and pop them in the oven. And you want the oven to be at about 400 degrees. So we've got ours at 400 degrees today. And again, that's gonna cook while you're doing the rest of this recipe. Okay. So now we're going to prepare the rest of this recipe. Like I said, this part goes pretty fast, so I like to get the potato in the oven and then do all the chopping and prep because that takes about 10 minutes, and then the bean mixture only takes about 10 to 15 minutes to cook. So when the potato has about a half hour left, that's usually when I'll start doing the rest of it. I did chop everything here already today, so we're going to just get started with the bean mixture. So you're just gonna wanna get this pan going at about medium heat. Sorry, this is not my stovetop, so getting used to it. And I'm just gonna put in about a tablespoon of oil. Not really measuring here. Let that get a little hot. And then I'm gonna throw my diced onion in. Like I said, you can use whatever onion you have around in the house. Oftentimes I'll make this with a white onion or a yellow onion if that's what I have in the house. So we're gonna throw the onion in, and we're gonna throw the red pepper in. Also, you can change out the color of the red pepper. Again, those different colors are gonna be associated with different benefits. This red pepper is going to give us lycopene, which is a nice antioxidant that is, again, one of those great cancer-fighting compounds. So, I'm going to make sure that's coated in the oil. Actually, I'm going to add just a little bit more. That's perfect. And turn this up a little bit. Here we go. So you want to cook this for about 4 to 5 minutes until those onions are just becoming to be pretty translucent, giving off a nice aroma. And you can also add in some minced garlic. Lindsay is going to show you a nice shortcut on how to mince the garlic at home, if you haven't already seen that. And the garlic is, again, going to give you just some more nutritional benefits. So if you have that laying around at home, that's a nice addition to this recipe as well. Usually you want to put that in towards the end when those onions are more cooked so you don't burn the garlic. This is just starting to warm up. Actually, can go a little bit hotter here. And then again, the rest of the things we're going to throw in when these are ready will be the beans. Again, I usually look for the lower sodium ones if they have them at the store. I like to keep a little bit of the juice in this recipe because I think otherwise it can dry out a little bit, the bean mixture can. So that's why the low sodium can is nice, so you don't have to rinse out any of that salt. Just have a little bit more moisture to work with, especially if you want to use some of it the next day if you're meal prepping. This recipe really does meal prep pretty well. I often make a larger batch of it and then use it throughout the week. That starch in the beans and the potatoes really holds up throughout the week when you're reheating it. And I like to throw the extra bean mixture in like quesadillas, tacos, or even on some rice and make a nice rice bowl. And then you can chop up your fresh ingredients as needed throughout the week. But otherwise I would store them separately so that they don't get all mushy. All right, now this is starting to go. It looks good. Okay. Just needs a couple more minutes here before we throw the rest of our ingredients in. The other nice thing about this recipe, like I said, is it is pretty much entirely plant-based. You can definitely use some sour cream, some cheese, or even a little meat to mix with the beans if you'd like. But even if you do it completely plant-based, it is very filling because we're making sure that we're hitting on all of our macronutrients here. So we're getting the carbs from the bean, the corn, and the potato. We're getting protein, lots of protein from that bean, the black bean. And then we're also getting a nice heart-healthy fat if you're throwing in that avocado on the top. So when I am doing an entirely plant-based dish, that's kind of one of my secrets to make sure that it's filling, is kind of checking all those boxes of the fat, the protein, and the carb. But again, you can definitely throw on some sour cream or a little sprinkle of cheese. I like it that way as well too. All right, so that looks pretty good. Onions are getting nice and clear. And it's starting to smell delicious. That's another sign that those onions are starting to cook down quite a bit. So we can throw the rest of this in. The next things we got to get in are the corn. This is frozen corn. I think it cooks the best. You can use canned, but I do think it gets a little mushy. The frozen does hold up a little bit better with texture. And it's about a cup. You know, I don't really measure that one too much. The spices, which are going to be the cumin, the chili powder, and the garlic. Usually the cumin and the chili powder I'll do in a ratio of like 1 to 2, so 1 for the cumin, 2 for the chili powder, because I like mine a little spicier, and that chili powder really gives it a nice heat, quite a kick. If you don't like it as spicy, I would maybe dial down that chili powder a little bit, and you don't even have to add it if you don't want, but it is nice to get those spices in, because they're going to add even more nutritional benefits. So when we're thinking about plant foods, the spices and the herbs count. And those are going to have a variety of benefits. So the more you get in, the more benefits you're going to get in. A lot of those spices are antioxidants. They act as anti-inflammatory properties in the body, and then also help boost immunity. So getting those in is great for that. But also because you're less reliant on the salt for flavoring, which we know we want to kind of moderate our salt in our diet. Now I'm just sticking these black beans in. And then we just got to heat those black beans through. That's going to take just about 2 to 3 minutes, and then that's done. I'm pretty messy here, so beans are flying all over the place. But you'll see we're getting all of these nice colors in here now. You'll see the red from the red pepper. Again, you could do like a green pepper if you prefer that, or leave it out. The corn is giving that nice yellow color, and then the black beans, which again all of this is gonna have a bunch of fiber. So that's also gonna help that feeling of satiety or fullness when you're having this meal. It also helps your body metabolize that blood sugar from all these carbohydrates. So that's just going to cook again for about 1 to 2 more minutes until those beans are heated all the way through. And then you're just going to set it aside and wait for those potatoes to be ready out of the oven. All right, so once you get the potatoes out of the oven, you do want them to sit for about 5 minutes to cool before you assemble everything. And just to show you, the fork should easily go into the potato without too much give. I still like them to have a little bit of a bite, so I don't cook them down too much, but you can cook them a little bit more if you want them to be more mashed. So I just cut down the center of the potato, and see that nice, beautiful, bright orange inside. Looks really good. And if you want to, you can kind of mash down the tops if you want. Again, I didn't cook them as mashed because I like them a little bit harder. So I'm just going to leave them as is, but you can mash down the inside a little bit if you like. And then you're just going to top with your bean mixture. I like a lot of the bean mixture personally because I'm a bean freak, but it's all going to go on top like this. So this would be for about 2 people. You would each have about a half. And then with the other potato, once you get that one assembled, it would make about 4 servings. And then we're going to do the toppings here. So I'm doing some green onion, fresh green onion, or scallion, which gives it a really, really nice taste. Again, that's really going to amp up the flavors. Fresh cilantro, one of my favorites. Not everyone loves cilantro, so you can leave that one out if you're one of those people who tastes it more soapy. But for me, I love it. And then we're going to do some avocado on top. Again, giving it that nice, healthy fat. That looks so good. And that's really what it's going to look like. It's going to look a little messy, but I promise it's going to taste good.
Oh my goodness, this looks so good, Kelsey.
So now we're just going to give it a little taste test here. Very visually appealing with all the colors. What do you think, Lindsay?
This is so good. I could eat this every day of the week.
Again, so filling, lots of different flavors going on here.
I love the sweet potato with the savory beans. It's perfect.
The sweet potato gives it just a little bit more flavor.
Yes, this is a keeper, Kelsey. I love it.
Well, this is one of my favorites, so hopefully you guys like it too.